Welcome back. Now, there's an uproar about the challenges facing the National Schools Nutrition Program in KwaZulu-Natal. Learners at over 5,000 schools in the province are without food since they reopened due to alleged failure to deliver the food items by a new supplier that was hired by the Department of Education. Now, it is believed that the problems emerged with the appointment of a new supplier. And yesterday, the Minister of Basic Education, Angie Motshekga, intervened in the matter, demanding that all tender documents relating to the failing 2.1 billion rand KwaZulu-Natal food scheme be tendered. And to discuss this matter further, we join on the line by Secretary of the KwaZulu-Natal Natal Nutrition Business Forum, Sizwe Zondi. And before we get to Sizwe, I must also just indicate that we did extend an invitation to the KZN Basic Education Department and the Premier's office, and this is what the Premier had to say.
We have directed that there must be an immediate investigation that is going to be done to really get to the bottom of what is happening and what happened about the school nutrition program. We're asking for communities to work with us, to help us, give us information on everything that is happening there, because it is clear that from the reports that we have received from the departments before, there is not ultimate truth that we are getting from those reports. So that is why I've taken it upon myself that Advocate Zama, working with all the structures, the JCPS cluster and the police, we're also going to be asking, even the President would not shy away to ask even the Special Investigating Unit to investigate, because we want to rid our government of any wrongdoings, if there is any wrongdoings, but also those people who are getting paid for not having done the work. It is criminal that our kids would go to school having government paid for everything that the kids are supposed to get, and getting to school and not getting the proper nutrition. So we are really working with all the stakeholders, but also with the investigating unit to ensure that we bring about the truth and also the honesty from all the people that are involved.
And we are, of course, now joined by the Secretary of the KwaZulu-Natal Nutrition Business Forum, Sizwe Zondi. Sizwe, thanks so much for your time. Welcome to Morning Live.
Good morning, and thank you for being part of this show.
So the probe into these challenges that are being faced by schools in the nutrition program in KwaZulu-Natal comes after you at the KwaZulu-Natal Nutrition Business Forum called a press conference in Durban on Friday to lay bare the many challenges faced by the scheme. But talk to us about how bad the situation really is and what alerted you to it.
The situation is quite bad at the school levels, as some schools actually have no supplies at all, and if there are supplies, they are insufficient to benefit all the enrollment. It's quite stressing, because now the principals have to ask questions from service providers as to when will they receive their next stock, and how long is this supposed to last them? So it's quite of a challenge, because schooling is not going on as scheduled. Some schools have to resort into dismissing learners at an earlier time, because there are many strains. If it's not load shedding, it's the school nutrition program that is not effective. So it's quite a strain at the ground level.
So what brought about these challenges? Are you able to pinpoint where the problems may have arisen from?
The problem risen from the type of work we had bidded for was to supply and deliver of food items procured through the private label. So the department introduced a private label where they were going to have a warehouse that is going to keep stock of products that are used for nutritional benefits, that's only going to be branded with the Department of Education specification and could not be resold in any way. But upon appointment of the service providers, and they were verbally told that they are now they are now only going to do delivery services. It breaches what we had debated for on the documents, and when it's time to deliver, it's a challenge because the person who's been appointed to supply these goods is failing. They do not have the capacity. The places where people are told to collect these items are just so random places. You have to collect food for kids from parking lots, food. It's just a whole mess. Those are some of the challenges that made us come to a decision. You know what? Let's just take a stand and try and resolve this. We are not against the whole process of having a private label or a warehouse, but why change a system that has been working for quite so many years and centralize everything and ask and have one service provider to supply more than 2.4 million kids in KZN? It's really a challenge.
So let's talk about that in trying to answer that question. You have indicated twice now during this short conversation that you were one of the bidders. So as I understand it, you were suppliers of the National Schools Nutrition Program for 3 years. So what changed? What were the reasons that you were given, or was it simply a process that has run its course and therefore there were need for new people to perhaps enter the fray? What happened?
At this state, I can safely say we haven't found anybody from the department to address such issues. Every time we have written appeals, we have sent emails, countless of emails, but we have never gotten a straight answer. It's all about here, he said, she said. The last time when I'm not too sure if it was the MEC was addressing.
Well, our apologies. Seem to have a bit of a network problem there. But I hear it sounds as though Sizwe is back there. Let's just take a quick look. No, seems to have a connectivity problem there. A poor bandwidth there in that connection to Sizwe. Right, we're going to try and fix that. But if this is something that you are familiar with and you would like to comment on, let us know your thoughts on this. The school's nutrition program in KwaZulu-Natal seems to have run into all sorts of problems, and there was a press briefing over the weekend to speak to and lay bare some of the challenges faced by the program and the scheme in general. So we are in conversation with Sizwe Zondi, and he's the secretary of the KwaZulu-Natal Nutrition Business Forum, who have basically brought to light some of the challenges they say are being faced by the scheme. And just looking at some of the things they say, for example, one of the revelations that there is a supply downgrade where you have 1,000 learners who are expected to be fed on 10 kg of rice, for example. And as you heard Sizwe also point out, talking about, random deliveries of some of these food parcels. And these are some of the claims that we are trying to establish with him. I believe we have Sizwe back, so let's go back to him just to continue the conversation. There you are, Sizwe. Thanks so much for getting back to us now. You also claim that the few schools that actually do have food, it is not what was supposed to have been delivered in the most cases. And some schools have been provided with food that is either rotten or are about to reach their expiry date. So talk to us and the proof in terms of this, because it's all good to allege, but do you actually have the proof of this being the case?
Yes, I would say that the amount of quantity that have been delivered to schools, to some of the schools, is insufficient. Like you have said, a school with 1,000 learners would be given maybe 25 kgs to last them 2 to 3 days, whereas that school is supposed to be receiving more than 70 kgs mostly in a day to consume for all the learners to benefit from the program. The quality of food that has delivered in some of the institutes, it is of bad situation. And I cannot stress that why our kids have to go through such and be fed such quality of food, where previous contractors, if they deliver food that was not of standard, it was a huge issue. You would be called in and be given a warning that this won't be accepted. But why is the department protecting or allowing the service provider to deliver such food to our kids? These are our kids we are talking about. Sooner or later, we are going to have situations where kids are poisoned, and that is going to be another situation on its own, a bad situation that we wouldn't want to face.
So who is to blame for all of this? Who would you say needs to be held accountable, Sizwe?
I would say it's the department, because it's their doing. They are the ones who own the program, and they are the ones who should take full ownership, because the private label company that has been appointed bidded for something and they were awarded it. So if they fail to produce what they said they were going to deliver, the department is supposed to intervene on that and call that into order, because now whatever they had promised to do, they are not doing. The department is failing us.
So when you say the department, you're talking about the provincial department in this instance?
The provincial department of education, as we are the only province that are facing this challenge.
So
centralizing.
Please continue.
Because centralizing this project is a whole headache. Why don't it carries on as it was before, where the suppliers are able to go source the goods? We don't mind buying from the private label, where the warehouse the department has set up. We don't mind going to that places and procuring the food items there, because we know that it is guaranteed that the food will always be at school in time, and it will always be at a good condition. Because now we have to compromise ourselves, where we have to we are called in over weekends to come and pick up our food in different places. Some of the places they don't even have all the quantities that are needed. It's a huge challenge.
And again, you know, it's a pity that we don't have the Department of Education, KwaZulu-Natal here, but we did extend an invitation to them. But in terms of the intervention by the National Department of Basic Education, what's your take on that? We saw the Minister of Basic Education, Minister Angie Motshekga, saying that she will urgently send officials to KwaZulu-Natal to help resolve this crisis. What's your take on that?
As a service provider, I am quite relieved if the Minister of Basic Education is intervening, because now it's not only impacting service providers, it's our well-being of our children. So the minister intervening is quite a good one. We just have to wait and see what revelations do they come about after doing the investigations.
So as things stand right now, and children go to school this morning, are you okay with how many schools at this stage are still without the necessary nutritional supplies that they need, Sizwe?
I may not have the actual numbers, but majority, if I had to put it in my ratings, I would say 70% of the school do not have all the amounts of food they're supposed to be receiving. I'm quite sure of that.
And of course, the concern is for the learners in these instances. And as things stand right now in the province, is there any further meetings or engagements that are expected this week, for example?
For this week, we have no engagement that we have. We are just waiting on all the departments, as we had engaged the head of the Department of Education. We had sent emails requesting that we would like them to come forward and let us discuss this matter or get answers from them. So this week we don't have any meetings with them, but we're hoping to get a response from them via email to see what can be said or done about the situation.
Well, we'll have to leave it there, but of course we'll keep an eye on the developments and follow up if need be. And of course there's always right of reply to those who have been mentioned here this morning. But thank you so much, KwaZulu-Natal Nutrition Business Forum Secretary Sizwe Zondi, speaking about the challenges faced by the schools in the province due to the new centralized nutritional schools nutrition program scheme, and talking about the supply of those nutritional packs to schools that are not ideal and have not even arrived in some instances. So the Minister of Basic Education said she would intervene, but of course we'll keep our eye on that as well.